Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. So there's another case of a black man being in an interracial relationship and it going very badly for him. This is a case out of Burke County, Georgia, near the town of Waynesboro on the eastern coast of Georgia near South Carolina. This is a young man, in case you haven't heard, involved with a white woman, and they have two children together. I don't think they were married, but they were living somewhere in this town outside of Waynesboro, Georgia, in a trailer park, and they went out partying. I believe it was Saturday night or last Saturday night. Came back home drunk, apparently, had an altercation. She pulled out their protection piece, and that was the end of him. This case is very similar to the one that came out of Florida a few years ago with the Nigerian man with a white woman. They're in a relationship where she was the best thing since sliced bread. They were happy. Everybody thought they were happy, but there was trouble in paradise. She was not as happy with him as he was with her, it turned out. The whole thing blows up and he's on the floor fighting for his life, which he lost. There are some similarities in these cases. Both of these are men of African descent with white women who consider the prize of all women, and they've elevated these women, pedestalized these women on their social media platforms as they berated and degraded black women. Now, the Nigerian guy's tweets were bad enough, but this black American man's tweets were worse. He went in on black women, and I mean, for no apparent reason. Nobody even knows what kind of relationship he's ever had with black women. I know he has a black mother, but nobody even knows the basis of that. But they both went in heavily against the black women, making every kind of derogatory remark you could make about black women, even as they put these white women on a pedestal. And both of their lives came to an end at the hands of their chosen white woman, their preference. Now, in the case of the Nigerian man, upon his demise, his family was very dignified. They were obviously in mourning. They grieved over their family member, but they came to the public the right way. They were sincere in asking the community to be concerned because they were trying to get to the bottom of what had happened to their family member. And in any case like that, it helps when the public gets involved. So his family struck the right chord with people. And even though black women said this is not our fight, they still did it the right way. I was moved by their grief. They did a press conference with their lawyers. They explained what had happened, very dignified. Now, the same cannot be said for this black American family, I hate to say. They came out swinging when the paperwork came in on Telvin Osborne that he had been making all of these derogatory, demeaning, and just really vile statements about black women. Black women pulled back and said, "You're on your own. This is not our fight." Well, instead of them behaving in a dignified manner, his family members handled it all wrong as far as I'm concerned. One of his family members took to social media and said he understood why this guy didn't date black women because black women didn't give the response that he wanted. So he understood why he didn't date black women, as if who he dated was something of real importance. Most people wouldn't even know who he dated if he didn't tell, because he was not a prize package in the eyes of many black women. He's not what you would call in the top 10 of most desirable black men in America. So nobody knew who his preference was. And nobody would have known if he hadn't said it. But once he said it, then he brought black women into the conversation. So these two men, through their arrogance, their foolishness, and their dysfunction, put their families in very difficult positions. In both cases, law enforcement was reluctant to arrest the women. And then the families started saying it was white privilege. It was because those women were white. But we have to keep in mind those men liked those women in the first place because they were white. And they pedestalized them because they were white. And they elevated them over black women because they were white. So I don't think that their whiteness should even enter into the equation. It just needs to go on facts. What happened? Now, that's just my opinion. So, there are 2 points that I want to make before I end this video. Number one, white women need to recognize red flags in black men because this is coming up often enough that I think that white women need to be warned about these kind of men. When you're dating a man and he hates the women of his race more than he does anybody else, not only that, but he centers his anger, because this man had anger issues. He centers his anger in the women of his race, or he centers his anger in something or somebody else. That's a red flag. There are white women who will take to social media and say that they will not date a black man who doesn't date black women or who is constantly berating black women because those white women realize that is a problem and that will be a problem in that relationship. It is dysfunctional for you to be in a relationship with a white woman and have your teeth in the black woman's back all the time, especially people who are not even aware that you're alive. You got this imaginary black woman in your head that you can't get out of your head, and you're in a relationship with a white woman. That's a sign right there that you need to get that black woman out of your head. You might need to go to some kind of therapy. That is unhealthy. So the white woman or the Asian woman or the Hispanic woman that gets involved with a black man like that needs to know from the start this relationship is not going to end well. And I'm going to say this, and I don't know what happened between that woman and that man, but the police are saying that there was an altercation. I'm going to say that that woman didn't just all of a sudden take up a weapon and decide to end that man's life. Something happened. So even though he's out there singing the praises of this white woman, only the white woman that was living in that house with him knows what he was really like. And she has a story to tell too. She has been arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter, and that carries 1 to 10 years in Georgia. So it's very possible that she might get off very lightly, if not altogether. And you can call it white privilege if you want to, but it was always white privilege because she's been white all the time. Now, I'm not trying to diagnose anybody's case, but I just know it's something wrong with you when you go around with hatred in your heart for somebody who's not even thinking about you. That is not healthy, and that is a disorder that needs to be diagnosed by a professional. And the last thing I want to say is I have 2 friends that are psychologists, and one of them is adamant that there is undiagnosed mental illness in the Black American community. And we don't like to talk about it. We don't like to talk about mental illness because that's taboo in the Black American community. But there is undiagnosed mental illness in our community. And one of the main things that we're going to have to work on as a race is self hatred. Because if you hate black women that much and you are a black person, what does it say about you? Because no matter how many white people you get involved with, they cannot erase your blackness. They can't. So mental illness in the black community is a problem. And when a man like this carries on the way he does, we have to assume that there's something that's not quite right with that person. And the people around him, his family members, when they're always talking about black women this and black women that, or black men this and black men that, you never found a black woman that you liked, you never met a black man that you could stand. Please understand that that problem is you. That problem is you, especially when you have decided to move on with another race of people, but you're still stuck in your hatred of black women or black men. That is a sign of self hatred. That's all I got to say. And my very last point is that there is a small group of black men on social media who are trying to shame black women because black women are saying that this is not my problem. This has nothing to do with me. You cannot shame somebody into caring about someone, especially somebody that didn't care about them. So the best thing I guess to do is just to not say anything. But it is social media and people are going to talk. And when you bring your problems to social media, people are going to have their say. It is tragic when something like this happens because it doesn't just involve those two people, it involves families, extended family, friends, communities, and to a certain extent, the country, because this is a problem that can happen anywhere in the country. But as far as the black community is concerned, we still just need to be a little bit more careful about what we're saying. Choose your partners wisely, live, and let other people live. Okay, y'all, let me know what you think about the video. Thank you for listening. Give me a thumbs up and have a good evening.